Hello, deputies.
Yes, sir.
Are you all ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. And today, by the way, we're not going to worry about going off and on jobs. So we're just going to go alphabetical order for the women and then for the men. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to turn.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Ms. Toles. How are you this morning?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm not sure if you saw, but we do have one Spanish speaking individual today.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, as always, we'll just get through everything from the beginning with the rights, and then we will circle back. It's a gentleman.
Okay. I'll just wait for your prompt.
Yes, ma'am. All right, deputies, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. We are now streaming live on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. My name is Judge Marcus Thorpe. I'm one of the associate magistrate judges here in Clayton County. It is March 17th at 11 o'clock a.m., and this is the first appearance. Now, if you are having trouble hearing me, ladies and gentlemen, please let me know as we move through this morning, as there are a few things that I'll need to go over with you prior to starting the calendar and during. Please listen carefully, as it will help you better understand the nature and purpose of today's proceeding. First, and I'm going to say it a couple times, ladies and gentlemen, but please understand, I am not here to try your case. I'm not here to take a plea or have any legal discussion with you about the facts of your case. The purpose of a first appearance hearing is to inform you of what you've been arrested for, to advise you of certain rights, to set bond on those offenses for which the court is authorized to set bond, to schedule a preliminary hearing where necessary, and to determine whether you require the assistance of an attorney. Now, each of you, ladies and gentlemen, as you come up to speak with me, have the right to remain silent. Again, please do not tell me specifics about your case or any legal defense you may have. As I said earlier, we are live, and this is a hearing that is being recorded. Anything you say during this proceeding can and will be used against you in later proceedings, not to mention that you make myself, anyone else on this Zoom, as well as any of the deputies or any of the other individuals detained, witnesses. During this and all of the proceedings, you have other rights as well. You have the right to the presumption of innocence, to an indictment by grand jury for felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors. You have a right to a speedy and public trial by jury. You have the right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf. You have the right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you. You have the right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense. And you have the right to an attorney to represent you if you cannot afford one. One can be appointed to represent you if you qualify. Now, for those of you all who are not citizens, if there are any, some charges here today may adversely affect your immigration status. And so I would suggest that at some point you consult an immigration attorney. Now, in addition to me telling you what you've been charged with, as I said, I'm going to explain to you and tell each of you how much your bond is. Because some of you today will allow to be post unrestricted bonds for your release from jail while your case is still pending. Now, there are three ways that you can post bond on your case. You can do it by cash, commercial, or property. If you post a cash bond, someone will deliver the full amount of the bond and cash together, or yourself, you will pay the cash bond as well as any mandated fees to the sheriff's office, and then the sheriff will then hold it until your final court date, at which time your cash will be returned to the person, either you or the person who posted on your behalf. The second way would be, if you don't have the full amount in cash, would be to do what is called a commercial bond. Now there, you would only be responsible for 15% of the bond plus any fees. However, the difference is this fee will not be returned to you. And so let me give you an example, ladies and gentlemen, of the difference between the two that I like to describe for people. You are charged with battery family violence. I tell you your bond is $6,000. If either you or someone you know has $6,000, they would bring that $6,000 up to the sheriff's office, and with any fees, they would pay that, and the sheriff would hold it until your case is closed. If you would use a bonding company instead, you would only need 15%, which is roughly about $750 plus any fees. And then the bonding company gets that $750 and they do not return it. So that's the difference between a cash and a commercial or a bonding company. Now, the third way is to use a property bond. There, you would ask someone who owns a piece of property, a home, a townhome, piece of land, to bring their deed up to the sheriff's office, where the sheriff will hold it until your case is closed. Now, that person must have at least 3 times equity as your bond. So if your bond is $6,000, they have to have at least $18,000 in equity for that to work. Now, in addition to me telling you about your charges, telling you how much your bond is, I'm also going to give some of you all what are called special conditions. And what that means is, if I tell you that you are to stay away from someone or you are to stay away from somewhere, that you should abide by that. That means you cannot call, text, email, write, or send a letter to or contact them through any social media platform. You can't even do something as nice as write a song to them, because, ladies and gentlemen, that would be in violation of your bond and would cause you to be subject to new charges, which can be felonies and up to a $20,000 fine or 20 years in custody. Now, in addition to telling you to stay away from the person, for some of you, I'm going to tell you to stay away from a particular location. That means you cannot go back to that location for any reason. And so if the no return location is somewhere that you were living with someone else when this happened, these alleged incidents, the only way you can go back to that property until your case is closed would be if, upon your release, within 10 days of your release, you speak to the sheriff's office and the sheriff can escort you. So again, if I charge you, you are charged with family violence, I tell you your bond is $6,000 and you're to stay away from your home that you were living at and or the person you were fighting with, allegedly, that means you can't go back unless you get that bond resolved or your case is closed. Now, some of you all may have been alleged to have been involved in an altercation with your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, mother, father, brother, sister. In those situations, that person cannot post their bond for you, so it will have to be somebody else. Now, lastly, I'm going to ask you all about a preliminary hearing. The purpose of a preliminary hearing is to determine whether there's enough evidence for them to formally charge you by the prosecutor. If you are charged with a felony, you automatically get a preliminary hearing. I'm going to tell you the date you're going to have it. If you are charged with a misdemeanor, you don't have to have it if you don't want to. It's up to you, and I'll ask you. Again, the preliminary hearing is where you are present, the officer is present who arrested you, as well as the judge, to determine if there is enough evidence to move forward with your case. And again, if you are charged with a felony, I will tell you when it is. If you're charged with a misdemeanor, you have the option to have it or not. If you choose not to have it, it does make your case move a little quicker, because I'll send it right to the prosecutor, who will then review it and then determine whether to charge you formally. So again, misdemeanors, you have an option, yes or no, to the preliminary hearing. One gives you the right to that hearing for you, your attorney, and the judge.
Sir, if you can hear me, you freezing up. Uh-oh. He had to sign back on.
All right, I'm back here. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. Can you hear me, deputies?
Yes, sir.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started now. That was just the last thing I wanted to go over with you, was the the preliminary hearing rights. If I could have everyone please raise their right hand. Do you all swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give, as well as the information that you provided on your application, will be the truth and was the truth, so help you God? If it is the case, say I do. All right. Now, Deputy, I understand we did have one gentleman who needs a translator. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then I believe it's Mr. Juan Rodriguez. If we could have him come up to the podium, please.
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Toles, while he's coming to the podium, if I could have you please raise your right hand. All right, Ms. Toles,
Yes, Your Honor.
do you swear or affirm that the information you're going to translate here, that you will translate appropriately from Spanish to, from English to Spanish to English to help you guide? And if that's the case, say I do.
I do, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Toles, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to Mr. Rodriguez.
Hola, señor Rodríguez, buenos días. Le voy a servir de intérprete aquí con el juez. Okay.
All right, good morning, Mr. Rodriguez. My name is Judge Thorpe.
Buenos días, señor Rodríguez. Yo soy el juez Thorpe.
And I am here to go over your rights with you in regards to your case, okay?
Y estoy aquí para repasar con usted sus derechos correspondientes a su caso. ¿Está bien? Okay.
Now, before we begin, sir, please keep in mind, I'm not here to try your case, so don't talk to me about the facts of your case. I'm just here to tell you what you're charged with and how much your bond is, okay?
Por favor, tenga presente, señor, que no estoy aquí para hablar con usted sobre los hechos de su caso. Estoy aquí solamente para informarle de los cargos de que se le ha imputado y también decirle cuánto es su fianza.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, before we begin, sir, please keep in mind also, you have the right to remain silent.
También, antes de comenzar, tenga presente que usted tiene el derecho a permanecer callado.
You have the right to an attorney.
Tiene derecho a un abogado.
You have the right to a grand jury or an indictment. You have a right to a grand jury or an accusation if you are charged with a misdemeanor or felony.
Tiene derecho al gran jurado o a una acusación si se le ha formulado delitos graves o delitos menores.
You have the right to testify on your own hearing.
Tiene derecho a declarar en su propia audiencia.
You have a right to call witnesses to testify for you.
Tiene derecho a citar testigos para que declaren a su favor.
You have a right to an attorney, and I will appoint you one if you so qualify this morning.
Tiene derecho a un abogado y le designaré un abogado si usted cumple los criterios.
Now, let me ask you this, Mr. Rodriguez, are you currently working?
Ahora, señor Rodríguez, le pregunto, ¿está trabajando actualmente, señor?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And how much money are you making per month?
¿Y cuánto dinero está ganando por mes?
3,200.
3,200.
Okay. Do you have any family that you're taking care of as well?
Señor, ¿tiene usted algunos familiares a cargo?
Sí, mi papá.
Yes, my dad.
Okay. Now, before we get started into what you're charged with, let me also say, sir, because of the charges that you are charged with, I'm going to have to talk to you about what are called special conditions.
También, antes de entrar en detalles sobre los cargos imputados, también tengo que repasar con usted lo que son las condiciones especiales.
Okay. Now, what that means is I'm going to advise you that you are to have no contact with certain people and that you are to stay away from certain people. And when I do that, please understand that you are going to have to abide by that, or you may be subject to a new arrest.
Esto quiere decir que le voy a informar que usted no puede tener ningún contacto con ciertas personas y debe mantenerse alejado de esas personas. Y tiene que saber que hay que acatarse a esas reglas porque si no, lo pueden volver a detener.
Okay.
Failure to abide by my bond will mean a new felony, and up to 20 years in jail, or a $20,000 fine.
Incumplimiento con las condiciones de la fianza puede significar, perdón, delitos graves imputados que conlleva un castigo de 20 años de prisión y una multa de $20,000.
All right. So now, Mr. Rodriguez, let's go ahead and get started, sir. You are charged with one count of false imprisonment.
Bueno, señor Rodríguez, ya vamos a comenzar. A usted se le ha imputado un cargo de privación ilícita de la libertad.
You are charged with one count of battery family violence.
Un cargo de acometimiento, violencia en el hogar.
One count of criminal trespass.
Un cargo de intrusión ilegal.
Now, your bond amount is $10,000 for the first charge,
La fianza para el primer cargo es de $10,000,
$3,500 for the second,
$3,500 para el segundo cargo
and $1,500 for the last.
y $1,500 para el último.
Your total bond is $15,000.
La fianza total se le impone a $15,000.
You can make bond in one of three ways.
Usted puede pagar la fianza de tres maneras.
You can pay, or someone you know can pay the whole amount in cash.
Usted podría pagar o alguien que usted conoce podría pagar la cantidad total en efectivo.
Or you can use a bonding company where you would only have to pay 15% of that bond.
O usted podría hacer uso de una compañía de fianzas donde solamente tendría que pagar a la compañía el 15%.
And there you would use what is called a bonding company.
Y eso es cuando uno se usa lo que se llama la compañía de fianzas.
And the last way to make bond would be if you were to have someone who owns a piece of property, either a home or piece of land, and they would bring them their deed for the sheriff to hold until your case is closed.
Y la tercera manera de pagar la fianza es que si usted o alguien que usted conoce tiene una casa o un terreno y ellos le prestan la escritura de la propiedad a la oficina del alguacil, que guardará la escritura hasta que el caso se termine.
Now, in addition to your bond of $15,000, sir, you do have special conditions.
Además de la fianza de $15,000, también tiene usted unas condiciones especiales.
And you are going to have to stay away from Kathy Grimaldo
Tendrá que mantenerse alejado, señor, de Kathy Grimaldo
in 213 Spring Drive.
y la dirección en el 213 de la Spring Drive.
Okay. If that was where you were living when this happened, please, when you're released on bond, let the sheriff know and they will go with you to get your things.
Si ahí es donde usted vivía antes de que se le formularon esos cargos, por favor avísele por favor al alguacil y ellos le pueden acompañar a la casa para que recoja sus artículos personales.
Okay. All right. Do you have?
That's my house.
Yes, I understand that, sir. But because of these charges, I cannot allow you back there until either your case is closed or your bond is modified.
Sí, señor, entiendo, pero no puedo permitir que usted vuelva ahí hasta que el caso se cierra o hasta que las condiciones de la fianza se modifiquen.
Okay. Una pregunta.
I have a question.
Okay, let me just get through this, sir, and then I'll answer your question.
Permíteme terminar primero, señor, y luego le atiendo la pregunta.
Okay. Now, the next thing is, sir, I need you to understand that because of your some questions that you answered for me, I am not going to be able to appoint you a lawyer this morning, and so you will have to get your own.
También otra cosa que tienen que saber es por las respuestas a las preguntas que le hice hoy en la mañana, no voy a poder nombrarle un abogado de oficio esta mañana. Usted tendrá que contratar un abogado por su cuenta.
Okay. All right. Do you understand that, sir?
Está bien. ¿Entiende eso, señor?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I believe you had a question that you wanted to ask me.
Ahora, creo que usted tenía una pregunta que me quería hacer.
Sí. No tengo no me sé el número de mi papá y bueno, el único número que me sé es el de Katy. ¿Cómo puedo conseguir el número para marcarle a mi papá?
Yes. The thing is, I don't know by heart my dad's phone number. The only phone number that I know is Kathy's. And how can I go about getting my dad's phone number?
Well, you would have to speak to someone over at the jail, one of the deputies, to see if they would be able to get you access to your phone. I can't really answer that for you, sir.
Debe hablar, señor, con alguien ahí en la cárcel y pedir que le den acceso a su teléfono. Realmente no puedo contestar eso.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions for me, sir?
¿Alguna pregunta más, señor, para mí?
como, ¿qué sigue después de de aquí?
What happens after this, after here?
Well, if you make your bond, you'll be released until you are officially charged, and you'll get a letter in the mail telling you when your next court date is.
Si sale bajo fianza, señor, entonces quedará en libertad hasta que formulen la acusación formal y luego le enviarán por correo la notificación de su próxima audiencia.
Okay. If you do not make your bond, your next court date is going to be April 22nd of 2024.
Si no sale bajo fianza, su próxima audiencia será el 22 de abril 2024.
This guy. I love that. This guy.
Do you have any other questions, sir?
¿Tiene alguna pregunta más, señor?
Bueno, si llego a conseguir el número de mi papá, ¿cuándo puedo pagar la fianza?
Well, if I'm able to get my dad's phone number, when would I be able to pay the bond?
Well, again, that's up to the sheriff, sir, and how quickly you get the phone call and how quickly your dad could come down.
Eso depende del sheriff, depende de cuán rápido puedo conseguir el teléfono y cuán rápido puede llegar su papá.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. Good luck to you.
Muy bien, señor. Gracias y buena suerte.
Gracias.
Thank you.
All right. All right, deputies. I believe first up, female, I have Miss Jennifer Fleming.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Have a great Sunday.
You too. All right. Are you Miss Fleming?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Fleming, you are charged with one count of simple assault here. Your bond amount, ma'am, is $2,500. You do have stay away conditions, special conditions, ma'am, and they are to stay away from James Fleming and also to stay away from the address of 8561 Gerard Court. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir. I don't understand bond though.
Okay.
They can help me understand it.
Well, so you are charged with an offense, and in order to secure that you come to your next court date, ma'am, you have to pay that amount in order to get out. So you can either pay that amount in full in cash, or you can get a bonding company, and you would only pay 15%, which is roughly about $200.
Okay.
Or you can have somebody bring their deed to their property down here, and they can use that to bond you out as well. Okay?
Okay, and they'll be able to, does somebody need to come bond me out, or can I bond myself out?
You can bond yourself out if you got the money on you. Yes, ma'am.
I did bring my debit cards with me. Yes, sir. I need to, actually be able to get those,
Okay, that would be
from property, but, I need to actually figure out who I need to call and how I need to get access to the phone to call. I've never been to jail before.
You would speak to the sheriff. The sheriff will be able to help you with that.
The sheriff will be able to help me get the,
With getting the telephone privileges.
oh, yes, I need to get that because I never got them last night, sir.
Yes, ma'am. So right now you were charged with one count of misdemeanor, simple assault. Your bond is $2,500. In order to get out, you'll either pay that in full with the use of a bonding company where you'd only pay about 15%, or you can use a deed to a property. Right now, you're going to have to stay away from that home that you were living and from Mr. Fleming. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. So
All right. Hold on, ma'am. Hold on, ma'am. Let me get through. Now, because of your income, I cannot appoint you a lawyer. So for your case, if you need a lawyer, ma'am, at some point, you will have to hire your own. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, you had a question.
Yes, sir. If I pay the $2,500, how does that work? Do I get that back?
Oh, I said that. Okay. If you pay the $2,500 in full, yes, ma'am, they'll hold it for you and then you get it back. If you use a bonding company where you only pay 15%, around $200, $250, $300, you do not get that back. The bonding company keeps it. Okay.
They keep the,
They keep the fee.
And they keep them.
okay, so I need to contact the bond.
If you want to use a bonding company, yes, ma'am, you would contact the bonding company, and then they'll charge you $250 plus fees, but they're going to keep that money. They're not going to give it back. If you pay the full $2,500, the sheriff holds it until such time as your case is closed, and then you get it back completely in full.
I think I want to try to use the
All right, so one last thing. Listen to me, Ms. Fleming.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
because you are charged with a misdemeanor, you have a right to a hearing. A hearing before you are formally charged is where you're there, the officer there, and the judge is there to look and make sure there's enough evidence for you to formally been charged. You've just been arrested. You haven't been charged yet, formal. Now, I can give you that hearing and I'll set that hearing date for you. Or if you so choose, I can skip the hearing and then I can send your case directly to the prosecutor where they will review it themselves. Which would you prefer, ma'am? This is not your trial date. This is just a hearing for the judge to review your evidence, or I can skip it, move your case a little faster, and send it directly to the prosecutor.
We can do the, where I get a little time, I guess, to, however, I don't understand. I'm just trying to understand.
Okay, so let me go over it again with you, Ms. Fleming. So Ms.
Yes, sir.
Fleming, a preliminary hearing. It's a
Mhm.
hearing, you're there, the judge is there, and your police officer's there, right? It's a
Yeah.
hearing that comes in the next 30 days. It is not your trial. It's just a hearing for the judge to review the evidence that they have against you. Because you're charged with a misdemeanor, you can either have that hearing or I can skip that hearing. Now, if you say, judge, skip the hearing, that means I'm going to move your case a little faster to getting it over and up to the prosecutor's office. That's the big difference. One, you're having a hearing. Two, you're not. If you make your bond, Ms. Fleming, you're not going to have it either way. You'll be out. But it's just a hearing if you're still in custody to allow the judge to review the evidence. If you get out, the hearing is over. Or you can say, Judge, I don't even want the hearing at all. Just go ahead and send my case to the prosecutor. So would you rather me give you that hearing because you believe you'll still be in custody, or would you rather me skip that hearing and move your case faster?
Well, I want to make bond, of course.
So here's what I'm gonna do, Ms. Fleming. To go ahead and protect you, ma'am, I'm gonna set that hearing date. So if you don't make bond, you'll have a hearing date. Your next date, ma'am, should you not make your bond, is gonna be April 23rd of 2024. And that's gonna be 8:30 a.m. and that's gonna be via Zoom. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Well, I do not, what do I need to do today, sir?
Ms. Fleming, Ms. Fleming, you don't need to do anything
Okay.
other than attempt to try to make your bond.
Yes, sir.
What I gave you just now.
Yes, sir.
Should you not make your bond, your next court date is going to be April 23rd at 8:30 a.m. Okay?
April
You don't get out.
23rd.
Yes, ma'am. If you don't get out, April 23rd will be the next time you come to court. If you do get out, you're going to get your next court date in the mail. All
Yes,
you
sir.
need to do today is, as you said, work on trying to figure out whom you can contact and hopefully make the bond either in full in cash or the use of a bonding company, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. All right, I believe up next should be, is it Hamilton? Barbara
Yes, sir.
Hamilton? And then after Hamilton, we should have Harris and Hogan.
Yes, sir. If you need to write anything down.
Good morning.
Are you Miss Hamilton? Good morning.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Miss Hamilton, here you are charged with 1 count of battery family violence, ma'am. Your bond amount is $3,500. You do have a special condition, ma'am, and that's to stay away from Mr. Curtis Williams, as well as the address of 5717 Shoals Place. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Now, I understand that may be where you were living prior to this happening, ma'am, and if it was, please remember, you are not to go back to that address unless you are accompanied by law enforcement from the sheriff's office, okay?
Okay.
Now, based on the information that you provided, ma'am, I am gonna go ahead and I'm gonna appoint you a court-appointed lawyer this morning, so they'll be able to help you free of charge on your case, okay?
Righty.
Now, one last thing, because you were charged with the misdemeanors, you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you can skip that hearing. Which would you like to do, ma'am?
So that means I don't have a bond, right?
You do have a bond. Your bond is
Oh, yes, I'm
$30,000.
sorry. You did it. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm so sorry.
No problem. Would you like to have your prelim or waive it?
I don't wanna, predict.
Okay, so Miss,
I don't want that, court thing.
okay, so Miss Hamilton, I'm gonna show this morning that you are waiving your right to your preliminary hearing. And so the deputies are gonna have a piece of paper for you to sign there. And once you sign that paper, ma'am, that's all I have for you this morning, okay?
So all I have to do is just pay my bond, right?
Yes, ma'am, and then you'll be
Get out,
out
yeah.
until your case is
Okay.
called back to court.
Can I ask you one more question? Do
Yes,
you know
ma'am.
how much percentage of my bond to be? I had to pay the whole 35.
You pay the whole 35, it's gonna be 3,500 fees. If you pay only the bonding company, you only pay 15%, you're looking at about $500.
Go ahead and sign the paper, ma'am, so I can fill out. This don't have nothing to do with you getting out.
Girl, this is nervous. I don't know.
All right, next up should be Tory Harris.
Doing that, ma'am.
Come on, Ms. Hampton.
Oh,
And then after Tory Harris, I've got Brisha Hogan. Are you Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Harris, you are charged with 1 count of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, ma'am. That is a misdemeanor. Your bond amount is $2,500. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
Now, based on the information that you provided this morning, ma'am, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a lawyer free of charge. So if you need, you don't have to pay for a lawyer on your case, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Now, because you are charged with misdemeanor, ma'am, I do need to tell you that you have a right to a preliminary hearing I spoke of this morning, or you can waive your right to that hearing. Which would you like to do this morning? Have it, set the date, or waive it?
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yes, ma'am.
At the preliminary, is there a option for the judge to throw out the case, or that's just,
That's where that would happen if you're still in custody.
um,
But please understand, if they dismiss it, it can always still be brought back later. But that is an opportunity, if you're still in custody at that date, for them to review it and possibly dismiss it.
okay, no hearing.
Okay. All right, ma'am. I'm going to show here that you are waiving your hearing opportunity this morning. Again, your bond is $2,500. If you don't have any other questions of me, ma'am, that's all I have. The deputies will have something there for you to sign and you're good to go.
Okay, thank you.
go to this.
Thank you.
Next,
To be Ms. Hogan.
yes, sir.
Good morning.
All right. Good morning, Ms. Hogan.
Good morning.
And then next up, I have Ms. Jackson. Ms. Hogan, you are charged here with, let's see here. You're charged here with 1 count of battery family violence, ma'am. Your bond amount is $3,500. You do have special stay away conditions, ma'am, and that is to stay away from, I believe it's a Makia Moses, and also to stay away from the address of 904 Stormy Lane. Do you understand that, ma'am? Do you understand, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, so if that's where you were living, remember, you can only go back to that address if you are taken there by law enforcement from the sheriff's office. Are you currently working, ma'am?
Yeah.
How much are you making per month?
Well, it's from,
I'm sorry,
I think so.
how much?
I don't know.
Where do you work?
I'm a CNA
Okay, how long you been doing that?
since 2017.
How much do you get per check?
This company, I think, 14 hours.
Okay, how much are you bringing home? About what, 2,000, 1,500 per check or less?
It depends, probably a band.
Okay. All right, so ma'am, based on that, I am gonna go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer this morning. So you'll get a court-appointed lawyer free of charge. Now, the last thing I need to ask you, because you are charged with misdemeanors, you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or I can waive it and send your case faster on up to the prosecutor. Would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
No,
Are you saying no, you don't want the hearing?
no, I don't want to hear.
All right, ma'am. So I'm going to show that you are waiving your right to your hearing this morning. And so the deputies are going to have a piece of paper for you to sign. Once you sign that piece of paper, ma'am, you are good to go this morning.
Miss Hogan, go over here.
Thank you, ma'am. It should be Jackson, I believe. Jackson and then John. Are you Miss
Oh,
Jackson?
this Miss John, Miss Tonya,
Okay.
Tonya John.
Okay, so we can do John first. Are you Miss John?
You gotta speak
Miss
up.
John, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So Ms. John, you are charged with several counts here. So we're going to go through each of them individually, and I'm going to tell you what your bond amount is for each one, okay?
Yes.
So beginning with the first charge, ma'am, you're charged with 1 count of battery family violence. Your bond amount is $3,500. You're charged with.
Sir, can you repeat it? I'm sorry, you was breaking up. She didn't hear it.
You're charged with 1 count of battery family violence. Your bond amount is $3,500. Can you hear that, Ms. John?
Yes.
Okay, now after that, you are charged with counts of simple battery family violence, and each charge carries a bond amount of $2,500. Can you hear that, Ms. John?
Yes.
Then you're charged with one count of simple assault. That bond amount is $2,500. Did you hear that, Ms. John?
Yes.
And then lastly, one count of cruelty to children, one bond amount is $2,500. And so your total bond is $13,500. Do you understand that, Ms. John?
Yes.
Now, Ms. John, you do have stay away conditions. So you have to stay away from a Blair Hickson and Shannon Simmons. You also have to stay away from 7006 Norfolk Court Apartment B. And so if I understand, you were living there, ma'am. So until your case is closed, you can't go back to that address unless you are with the sheriff's department. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Now, ma'am, I understand you were working. Is that right?
Yes, I'm working.
Okay. Do you have any children?
Yes.
How many?
4.
Okay. And is it just you taking care of them by yourself?
Well, they are grown except for the last one. She's autistic. She can't read the light, so I basically have to take care of them.
Okay. So, ma'am, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer that'll help you on your case free of charge, okay?
Okay.
Now, lastly, let me ask you one last thing. I talked earlier about a preliminary hearing. Because you're charged with misdemeanors, I can give you that hearing, set the date for you. So if you don't make your bond, then you'll have a hearing date for them to review these charges to determine if there's enough evidence. Or I can send your case directly on up to the prosecutor, and it moves a little quicker. Would you like me to send it to the prosecutor or set your hearing date?
The prosecutor.
I'm sorry?
The prosecutor.
The prosecutor?
Mhm.
All right, so ma'am, I'm going to show that you are waiving your right to your hearing this morning. So based on that, ma'am, the deputies are going to have a piece of paper for you to sign. And once you sign that piece of paper, ma'am, that's all I have this morning. Do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
I'm sorry.
All right, ma'am. Well, good luck to you.
Right here for me. Ms. Jackson, come on up.
Are you Miss Latrice Jackson?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Miss Jackson, you are charged here with one count of loitering or prowling and one count of a felony violation of a Georgia Controlled Substances Act. Now, because you are charged with a felony, ma'am, if you are unable to make your bond, your next court date is going to be April 22nd, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Do you understand that, ma'am?
So I don't have a bond right now?
I'm going to give it to you, but I'm saying if you don't make the bond, your next court date is going to be April 22nd at 8:30. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. So now your bond amount for the misdemeanor loitering is $500. For the felony drugs is $3,500. So your total bond is $4,000. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You do have a special condition, ma'am, and that's to stay away from 5436 Riverdale Road. So where you this incident was alleged to have happened, you'll have to stay away from there, okay?
That's fine.
I am going to go ahead, ma'am, based on the information that you provided. I am going to go ahead and appoint you a lawyer free of charge in case you need one. So my last question for you, ma'am, is your preliminary hearing. Would you like to have that hearing date set, or would you like for me to waive the right to that hearing?
Waive the right.
All right, ma'am. So I'm going to show that you would like me to waive your hearing this morning. And so based on that, ma'am, the deputies are going to have a piece of paper for you to sign this morning. And once you sign that piece of paper, that's all I have for you, ma'am. Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
All right, ma'am. Good luck to you this morning.
Just going now.
Okay, next up, I got Ms. Donzea Johnson. Are you Ms. Donzea Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Johnson, my name is Judge Thorpe, and I just want to talk to you about what you've been charged here this morning with. You're charged with misdemeanors, one count of criminal trespass, one count of simple battery, family violence. Your bond amount for the trespass is $2,000. Your bond amount for the simple battery is $2,500, for a total bond of $4,500. Do you understand?
No, I'm not understanding why I'm getting trespassed.
You're not understanding what now, ma'am?
I'm not understanding why I'm charged with trespassing.
Okay, so in the arrest warrant, and it may not be true, ma'am, so don't talk to me, don't respond to this. But in the arrest warrant, it says that you got into a physical altercation with Mr. Donald Johnson, and during the course of that, that you damaged some property that belonged to him, his vehicle specifically, and that the damage was less than $500. Do you understand what you're charged with? I'm not saying you did it, but that's what you're charged with, okay? All right, so your total bond is $4,500. You're to stay away from Mr. Johnson, and you're to stay away from the address of 6933 Cottonwood Trail. So if that's where you were living, ma'am, you'll have to wait until either your bond is modified, your case is closed, to go back to that address. Do you understand?
Well, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What if he left already before I even got arrested?
That's for your attorney. You talk to the attorney about that. He'll help you there. Okay? Do you understand, Ms. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
So the last question I have for you, or a couple questions, Ms. Johnson, are you currently working?
Yes, but I'm probably unemployed after today.
How much are you making per month before you were arrested?
1,600 a month.
About how much?
1,500.
Okay, so I am gonna appoint you a court-appointed lawyer free of charge, so you'll get a lawyer for free. My last question for you, based on what I was talking about earlier, the preliminary hearing, would you like to have that hearing, ma'am, or waive your right to that hearing? Say it one more time.
What does that even mean?
So the preliminary hearing is if you don't make your bond before you are formally charged, you are present, the judge is present, and the police officer is present. That's where they review the facts and the evidence they have against you to determine if they have enough to formally charge you. If they don't, your case is dismissed. If they do, then you are formally charged. So I can have that hearing and set the hearing date for you in case you don't get out on bond, or I can skip that hearing altogether, move your case a little faster, and send it on up to the prosecutor. You want to waive it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so ma'am, I'm going to show that you are waiving your right to your preliminary hearing this morning. And based on that, ma'am, the deputy is going to have a piece of paper for you to sign. Once you sign that piece of paper, ma'am, that's all I have for you this morning. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right, ma'am, good luck to you.
Go to that officer right there. Next.
Should be Miss, I believe it's Kibler, Kibler.
Yes, sir.
Are you Miss Kibler?
Kibler.
Kibler? Miss Kibler, you are charged here with 1 count of violation of a Georgia Controlled Substances Act, 1 count of possession of a drug-related object, and 1 count of pedestrian under the influence. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Now, these are all misdemeanors. Your pedestrian under the influence charge carries a bond of $1,000, the marijuana $1,000, and the possession of drug-related objects for $500. So your total bond is $2,500. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now, because of the information you provided, ma'am, I am going to go ahead and give you a lawyer free of charge, so you don't have to pay for a lawyer. The last question I have for you, ma'am, your preliminary hearing. Would you like me to set that hearing date for you, or would you like to waive your right to that hearing?
I'll waive my rights.
All right, so Ms. Kibler, I'm going to show that you are waiving your right to your preliminary hearing. And so the deputies will have a piece of paper for you to sign there. And Ms. Kibler, once you sign that piece of paper, that's all I have, ma'am, unless you have any questions for me.
Did you say what the last charge was again, so I can write it down?
It was the last one, possession of a drug-related object. So they're alleging that you were under the influence of alcohol in the middle of the street with drugs and some sort of object. I believe it was a pipe or a syringe they're alleging was in your possession. I believe you had it in a bag, they said. Okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, next up should be Miss Laster, Laster.
Yes, sir.
All right, are you Miss Laster?
Yes, sir.
So Miss Laster, you were charged with 1 count of driving on a suspended license, ma'am. And based on your lack of...
I'm sorry, Your Honor. It's 2 Lesters.
I have a Laster and then a Lester.
Oh, Laster. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. They got their names mixed up.
No problem. Are you Miss Laster, Laster?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Miss Laster, you are charged with 1 count of driving with a suspended license. Now, I've reviewed some information about you, ma'am, and you are going to be released later today. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
It doesn't mean your case is over. It just means that you're being released until your next court date. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So when you are released today, ma'am, please make sure that the last known or best known address for the sheriff is left here, because that's where they're going to send your next court date, okay?
I can't hear you.
Make sure.
I said, please make sure that your best known address, your last known address that you have, wherever you get your mail, that you leave that address with the sheriff's office when you're released today, because that's where your next court date is going to be sent to you in the mail on your case. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, I see here you're currently working, ma'am. Do you have any children?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, because of that information, ma'am, I am unable to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer this morning. So if you would like a lawyer to help you on your case, you will have to pay for one yourself. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am. So that's all I have for you. Again, you'll be released later today. If you don't have any other questions for me, the deputy has a piece of paper that she's going to hand you to sign. And once you sign that piece of paper, ma'am, that'll be all I have for you.
It's depending on how fast the jail get the paperwork done. Hopefully this afternoon. All right, you're gonna go to that gentleman right there. Come on, Miss, you want Miss Lester?
All right. Are you Miss Lester?
Yes, sir.
Miss Lester, you're charged with 1 count of obstruction of an officer and 1 count of loitering or prowling. Now, ma'am, I reviewed the information here that you gave us. I am going to release you today. And so you're going to be allowed to go home once you're done here in a few hours, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now, looking at the information you provided, I see you're working, ma'am. How much are you making per month?
Like 2,000.
Right. Do you have any children, ma'am?
Yes,
Okay, how many?
2.
Okay, are you taking care of them by yourself?
Yes,
Do you have a mortgage?
rent
And how much is rent per month?
$16.50.
Now, based on that, ma'am, I am going to go ahead. I'm going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer, so you'll get a lawyer free of charge this morning. Now, again, I am going to go ahead and release you. So once we're done here, the deputy is going to have a piece of paper for you to sign, showing that you waived your right to the preliminary hearing because you're being released. And other than that, ma'am, unless you have any questions for me, that's all I've got for you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Good luck to you this morning.
That gentleman right there. Come on up, ma'am.
And are you Miss O'Brien?
Yes, sir.
All right. Give me 1 second, Miss O'Brien.
No problem.
Okay. All right. So, Miss O'Brien, you're charged with 1 count of obstruction of an officer. Ma'am, your bond amount is $2,000. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right. I see here you are working. However, based on the information you provided, ma'am, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a lawyer free of charge. So
Okay.
you will have a lawyer that will help you on your case. Now, let me ask you this. Because you are charged with a misdemeanor, you have a right to that preliminary hearing I spoke of, or you can waive your right, and I'll send your case directly on up to the prosecutor. What would you like for me to do, ma'am?
Well, I didn't know, I had this question about a signature bond.
No, ma'am, you do not qualify.
I do not qualify. So.
A preliminary hearing is where you're there, the judge is there, and your police officer is there. If you don't make your bond, where they review your case and the evidence against you to determine if there's enough. If they believe it's enough, your case goes to the prosecutor. If they don't believe it's enough, your case is dismissed. Now, I can have that hearing and set that hearing date for you in case you don't bond out, or I can skip that hearing and move it on up to the prosecutor directly, so it moves a little faster.
So the bonding out is like 2,500, but that's for bail's bond.
If it's through a bail bondsman, you'd only pay $350. If you're gonna pay it in cash in total, it's $2,500.
Oh, the bond, 25. How much is her bond again, sir?
It was $2,000, excuse me.
2,000.
Yep, so you can pay it in cash all at $2,000, or you can use a bonding company. It'll be $250, ma'am.
$250 to get out.
Yes, ma'am. As far as that preliminary hearing, ma'am, do you want me to set that hearing date for you, or you want to waive it?
No, you can go ahead and set it.
All right, ma'am. So I'm going to set that hearing. So if you don't get out on bond, if you don't get out, your next court date is going to be April 23rd at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, your next court date is going to be April 23rd of this year at 8:30 a.m. That's going to be via Zoom. Your bond amount is $2,000. Do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
No, so I'm stuck in here, I'm stuck in here unless I put bond till the 23rd.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
All right. Good luck to you, ma'am.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, ma'am. Phil,
You come over here.
this way. Oh, Barry.
Are you Mr. Choa? What's your last name, ma'am?
Choa.
Okay. Give me 1 second here. All right, so Mr. Choa here, you are charged with 1 count of battery family violence, and you're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass, ma'am. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, now for the battery family violence, your bond amount is $3,500. For the criminal trespass, your bond amount is $1,500. So your total bond is $5,000. Do you understand that? Okay. Now you do have special conditions, ma'am, and that is to stay away from this other individual. I believe it's Rita Scott or Scott Rita. I believe it's Scott Rita, and to stay away from the address of 6861 Wendy Jean Drive. Well, actually, I'm going to have him stay away. So I'm going to give you that address. So you'll only have, ma'am, stay away from this individual, but you can return to the property. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, lastly, ma'am, because you are charged with misdemeanors, you have a right to that preliminary hearing I spoke of earlier, or you can waive your right and I will send your case on up to the prosecutor. Would you like me to set the hearing date or waive it?
What's the difference?
One would be if you where you'll have a hearing if you don't make your bond with the judge, you, and the police officer to determine if there's enough evidence in your case to move forward or to be dismissed. The other is where I skip that process and it moves faster and your case goes on upstairs to the prosecutor directly.
You go right upstairs?
Yep. So why don't I do this? Just to protect you, since I know you're not sure which way you want to go, I'm going to set that hearing date for April 23rd at 8:30 a.m. So if you make your bond, you won't have it. It'll skip out and your next court date will be sent to you in the mail. If you don't make bond, you'll have that court date with you and your attorney, okay?
Then you said altogether it's $5,000?
Yes, ma'am, 5,000.
And that's 15%, right? If I go
Yes, ma'am, so about $750.
All right, thank you.
Now, let me ask you this, Mr. Choa. I see you're working. How much are you making per month?
Well, I just started my new job, so about close to 18 or less, 17.
Okay, so I am going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer, ma'am. So that lawyer is going to help you free of charge on your case, okay?
Okay.
All right, Mr. Choa, do you have any other questions of me?
No, that will be all.
All right, ma'am. So again, you have 5,000 total in bond. I'm going to set that preliminary hearing date for you. So that's going to be April 23rd. Remember, if you make bond, that hearing date goes away. So please make sure that you keep an eye out in the mail. That'll be your next court date. I have appointed you a court-appointed lawyer free of charge, so you will have a lawyer to assist you at no cost to you, okay?
Yes.
All right, good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You go back in number 6.
You come over here, it's not.
Oh, you got it all.
Yeah.
Oh,
Same here, right here.
state your name, ma'am.
Tonight, Phillips.
All right, good morning, Ms. Phillips.
Hello.
I think you're wrong.
All right, so Ms. Phillips, you are charged with 1 count of theft by receipt of stolen property and 1 count of bringing a stolen item into the state. The theft by receiving carries a bond amount of $4,000, and the theft by bringing a stolen piece of property into the state of Georgia also carries a bond amount of $4,000. And so your total bond is $8,000. Do you understand that, ma'am? Did you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Now, I need you to understand that these are 2 felony charges. And
Yes.
so because you're charged with felonies, if you don't get out on bond, I'm going to give you your next court date.
Okay.
If you don't get out, your next court date is going to be April 22nd, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you hear me? Did you hear that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Ms. Phillips, I see you are not working. Is that correct?
Not here, no.
Okay. So I am going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer to help you out free of charge on your case. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Phillips, do you have any other questions for me?
No, sir.
All right, ma'am, I believe that's all I have for you then, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on now.
All right, and what is your name, ma'am?
Rita Scott.
All right, so we got it. All right, so Ms. Scott, you were charged with 1 count of battery family violence. As you know, you are alleged to have been involved in a disagreement with Ms. Choa. Your bond amount is $3,500. Ma'am, I am going to ask once you're released that you stay away, if you will make bond, from Ms. Choa. Now, Ms. Choa, I've already made the decision that she can return to the property, ma'am. And so what that means for you is if you make your bond, you are not allowed to return to 6861 Windy Drive. And I believe that's, yes, Windy Jean Drive, excuse me. Do you understand that?
Even though it's my house, my name is my leased house?
Well, so what I'm going to do, ma'am, at this point, so I don't have any of that information with me when I make this decision. And so, ma'am, in order to modify that or change that in any way, you'll have to speak with your lawyer, okay? And he can talk to you about that and possibly get that, he or she can get that changed for you. But at this point, I've made the decision that you have to stay away until you get it modified or your case is closed. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you understand, ma'am?
I heard you, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, because you are charged with misdemeanors, I spoke earlier about a preliminary hearing. You have the right to that hearing, ma'am, or I can waive your preliminary hearing. What would you like to do? Would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
With having the preliminary, that's when I would have to get the lawyer. Do I need him as well for me to be able to go back to my home?
So the purpose of preliminary hearing is to review the evidence and they can review your bond. That hearing is where you're present, your attorney and the judge, to go over if there's enough evidence in your case and possibly modify your bond. Yes. If you don't want that hearing, your attorney can still look at your bond, but he wouldn't do it at a hearing date. I would just move your case a little faster and I would send it on up to the prosecutor if you don't want the hearing. If you want the hearing, yes, ma'am, that'll be where they review the evidence in your case.
No, I'd rather not. As long as I can just still get him to, help me with trying to get back.
So when you say you'd rather not, do you want the hearing or no?
No.
You said no? Okay. All right, ma'am. So I am going to go ahead and show that you have waived your right to the hearing. So because you are waiving your right, ma'am, the deputies there are going to have a piece of paper for you to sign. And then once you sign that piece of paper, ma'am, I believe that's all I have for you this morning. Do you have any questions for me about anything we talked about? So again, you're waiving your hearing. Your bond amount is $3,500. You do have to stay away from Windy Jean Drive and Ms. Choa until it is modified or your case is closed. And I think I already said we waived the hearing. And then lastly, I appointed you a lawyer. Okay.
Okay. Now,
all right. Good luck to you, ma'am.
How do I get my stuff from my home?
That would, so as I said earlier, if you make your bond before your case is closed, then you would speak to the sheriff's office and the sheriff will go there with you to get your items. Okay.
Yes.
Did you hear that, Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Okay. All right, ma'am. So once you sign that paper, that's all I've got for you. Thank you. And then first up should be Paul Brown and then Leavon Canon.
Yes, sir.
Are you Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brown, you were charged with 1 count of battery family violence and 2 counts of cruelty in the 3rd degree. Mr. Brown, let me advise you something. I have reviewed the information I was provided on your warrant. I am dismissing your case here this morning, but let me be clear, sir. I am only doing that because there was some insufficient information. So I need to let you know, sir, that there is a possibility your charge can come back. But as of today, it is being dismissed, and you will be released later today. Do you understand?
Hallelujah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions, sir?
No, sir.
All right. Good luck to you, sir.
God, I got results.
Go and fix real quick.
Next up should be Mr. Canon. Are you Mr. Canon?
Yes, Leavon.
All right, so Mr. Canon, you are charged here with 1 count of loitering or prowling, 1 count of possession of a drug-related object, and 1 felony count of controlled substance. Your next court date, should you not make your bond, is going to be April 22nd, 2024, and that's at 8:30 a.m. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Your bond amount, sir, for the loitering is $500, for the drug-related object is $500, and for the felony drug is $3,500. Again, that's $500, $500, $3,500, and your total bond is $4,500. All right? Now, you do have a special condition, sir, and that's to stay away from the address of 4820 Massachusetts Boulevard, where this was alleged to have happened. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, I see you are not working right now, so I am going to go ahead. I'm going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer free of charge, so you'll get a lawyer free of charge to help you on your case, okay?
Okay.
All right, sir. Do you have any questions of me about anything?
No.
All right, sir. Well, again, you got a $4,500 bond. Your next court date, if you don't make your bond, will be April 22nd. I have appointed you a court-appointed lawyer free of charge to help you on your case. If you don't have any other questions of me, that's all I have, sir. Good luck to you.
I'm right here. Next up.
All right, give me 1 second here, sir. Let me just.
He down.
Uh,
He got to sign that.
and are you Mr. Downs?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Downs, you are charged here, sir, with 1 count of improper passing, 1 felony count of controlled substances possession, 1 count of dangerous drugs, and 1 count of possession of marijuana more than an ounce. Your bond amount for the improper passing is $500. Your bond amount for the felony drugs is $3,000. The dangerous drugs, sir, I have dismissed that charge. And then lastly, for the possession of less than an ounce of marijuana, your bond amount is $1,000. So your total bond, sir, is $4,500. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir. Now, because you are charged with a felony, I need to tell you, if you don't make your bond, your next court date is going to be April 22nd at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, based on the information you provided, I see you're taking care of 4 children. Is their mother involved as well, or do you take care of them yourself?
No, the mother's there. She's involved.
Okay. So based on this information, sir, I am not going to be able to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. So you will have to hire your own lawyer. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about anything, sir?
So I don't even get the question about the right to the preliminary and all of that, right?
No, because you're charged with a felony. So should you not make your bond, you automatically are going to have that.
Gotcha.
All right, sir. Good luck to you.
All right, thank you.
You go straight to go.
Next up should be Mr. Dudley, Isaac Dudley.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you Mr. Dudley?
Yes.
All right, so Mr. Dudley here, you are charged with 1 count of battery, simple battery, family violence, and 1 count of criminal damage in the second. Now, because of some information or lack thereof, sir, I'm dismissing the battery family violence charge. So you got 1 count remaining of criminal damage, and your bond amount is $3,500 on that. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, sir, you do have special conditions. You're going to have to stay away from Tawana Sanders and from the address of 1883 C Oaks Drive. And so, sir, if that's where you were living when this happened, then please understand you're not allowed to go back to that address unless you are with the sheriff's office here in Clayton County. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now, based on the information that you provided to me, sir, this morning, you do not qualify for a court-appointed lawyer. And so if you would like a lawyer on your case, you will have to hire your own. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, sir. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
All right, Mr. Dudley, then that's all I have for you, sir. Good luck to you.
Going out to go.
Thank you.
All right, next up should be Franco.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Are you Mr. Franco?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Franco, you are charged with 1 count of loitering or prowling, 1 count of possession of a drug-related object, and 1 count of felony possession of drugs. One count of possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana. So these are all misdemeanors. So now your bond amount on the loitering is 500. Your bond amount on the drug-related objects is 500, and your bond amount on the marijuana is 1,000. Your total bond is $2,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, based on the information you provided to us this morning, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. So you're going to get a lawyer free of charge. The last question I have for you is, sir, you have a right to that preliminary hearing I mentioned earlier, or you can waive that right, and I'll send your case on up to the prosecutor directly. Would you like to have that hearing, sir, or waive that hearing?
I would like to have that hearing.
All right, so should you not make bond, that means if you don't get out, your next court date is going to be April 23rd at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's 8:30 a.m. via Zoom on April 23rd of this year. Now, again, if you get out, please make sure we've got the best known address for you, because that next court date will be sent in the mail. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir, I believe that's all I have for you then, sir. Good luck to you.
Give him another one. Come on, sir. No.
All right, what's your name, sir?
Stanford Hollister.
All right, give me 1 second here, Mr. Hollister. Mr. Hollister, did you fill out your court-appointed paperwork this morning?
Yes, sir.
Give me 1 second. Okay, I see it here.
You don't sign, I don't care anymore.
All right, Mr. Hollister, give me 1 second. I'm just getting your another copy.
They all in the same place.
All right, so Mr. Hollister here. You are charged, Mr. Hollister, with 1 count. Oh, hold on, my computer is going out. Okay, Mr. Hollister, you are charged with 1 count of aggravated assault and 1 count of battery family violence. The aggravated assault, as you know, is a felony, and the battery family violence is a misdemeanor. So now, because of the aggravated assault being a felony, sir, if you don't make your bond, your next court date, your preliminary hearing is going to be April 22nd, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that? Did you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now as far as your bond amount goes, that aggravated assault, I am no bonding you at this point based on the allegation there, so you do not have a bond on that charge. As to the battery family violence, sir, your bond amount is $3,500. Now, you will be given an opportunity at a later date to review that bond again, and that's going to be that second court date that I'm going to give you, and that's going to be on April 26th. So you're going to have 2 court dates. If you don't, obviously, since you won't be able to get out because you're on a no bond, your first is going to be your preliminary hearing. That's going to be on April 22nd at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Your second court date is going to be your bond hearing date. That's April 26th of 2024. That's at 8:30 a.m., and that's also going to be via Zoom. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I understand you're making about $3,200 a month. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Sir, so you will have to hire your own attorney if you would like assistance on your case. Do you understand that?
Sir, I'm not gonna be able to work anymore.
Oh, well, that may
I
change,
don't
sir.
have any help.
I understand, but right now, based on what I've got, sir, I'm not gonna be able to appoint you a lawyer. Let me tell you this, Mr. Hollister. I want to make sure you understand, in addition to what I've told you thus far, you do have special conditions. So you're gonna have to stay away from Miss Okima Scott, as well as the address of 39 Chilton Lane.
She don't stay there.
Okay. Hey, deputies, I got it. I'm having trouble here. Deputies, I'm having trouble here. Nope. All right, Mr. Hollister, you listen to me now. I understand she may not stay there, but right now, I'm putting that stay away in there. When you get a lawyer, speak to your lawyer and they'll be able to work with you if that needs to be modified. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Do you have any other questions of me? Mr. Hollister, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
I'll ask you a question, right? What's your name, sir? Come right here. Press hard on the screen. Next person. Did you wait?
All right, sir. What's your last name?
Hinton.
I'm sorry?
Hinton.
All right, Mr. Hinton, give me one moment here. All right, so Mr. Hinton, you are charged with 1 count of felony escape. Based on the allegation here, sir, I am denying you bond. And so that means you're going to get 2 court dates here. Your first court date, sir, is going to be your preliminary hearing. That's going to be April 22nd at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Do you understand that?
April 22nd.
Yes, sir, April 22nd. Now, your next court date after that will be your bond hearing date, and that's going to be April 26th at 8:30 a.m., and that's also going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that?
April 26th.
Yes, April 26th. So you got 2 court dates. April 22nd is your preliminary, and April 26th is your bond hearing, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, and based on the information, sir, I've gone ahead and I've appointed you a court-appointed lawyer, so you got a lawyer free of charge, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right, you have a good one.
That's good, sir. Next person.
All right, and what's your last name, sir?
Lyles.
Where's Deontay Johnson?
I was just going to ask that.
Hold on.
Want me next? Who?
Deontay Johnson. Oh, he's on the bathroom.
I can do Mr. Lyles if you want, right? He's right there.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Lyles, you are charged here with a couple of charges. We're going to go through each of them together. You're charging 1 count of possession of a drug-related object as a misdemeanor, 1 count of possession of a controlled substances as a felony, 1 count of possession with intent to distribute as a felony, 1 count of improper equipment on a bicycle as a misdemeanor, and 1 count of obstruction of an officer as a misdemeanor. Because you are charged with felony, sir, if you don't make your bond, which I'm going to give you here in a moment, your next court date will be April 22nd of 2024, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's April 22nd of this year at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Now, as to your bond, the first drug-related object is a $500 bond. The felony drugs, $3,500. The possession with intent, $10,000. The bike equipment, $50, and the obstruction is $2,000. So I'll go over it with you again. Your bond, possession of drug-related object is $500, felony drugs, $3,500, possession with intent, $10,000, improper equipment on a bike, $250, obstruction, $2,000. And so your total bond, sir, is $16,250. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions thus far?
No, sir.
All right, so based on the information you provided, sir, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. And so if you don't make bond at that next court date at April 22nd, you will have a lawyer free of charge with you, help you on that date. Do you understand?
Sir.
All right, sir. Well, that is all I have for you at this point. Do you have any questions before I let you go?
I didn't hear the last part. It was a technical thing.
And that's all I have for you, sir. Do you have any questions for me?
No, thanks, sir.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Lyles, come over here and sign this. No, go around. Who, Johnson?
Right here.
Come on. Come here. First time for them to read it.
Are you Mr. Deontay Johnson?
Yeah, I'm here, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Johnson here, you are charged, sir, with 1 count of criminal trespass. Now, sir, based on some information I have this morning here, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to release you. That doesn't mean your case is closed, sir, but I am going to let you go here this morning. Do you understand?
I do.
Now, let me ask you this, Mr. Johnson. Are you working?
I've been with my company for 3 months now.
Okay. So how much are you earning per month?
I'm homeless.
Okay, so I understand you want to hire a lawyer, sir, but right now I'm going to appoint you a lawyer free of charge in case you don't get one, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Now, last thing, do you want me to give you that preliminary hearing date or do you want to waive that date?
No, I would prefer the preliminary hearing date.
Okay, so your preliminary hearing date, sir, if you don't make your bond, is going to be April 23rd at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom, okay?
Okay,
All right, that's all I have for you, sir, unless you have questions for me.
I have no questions.
All right, sir, so you're going to get out here. Well, actually, sir, since I'm releasing you, you're not going to have that preliminary hearing. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Because I'm releasing you, you're going to get out and you're actually going to waive that hearing. So the deputies are going to have a piece of paper for you to sign because you're going to be released today, okay?
Okay,
All right, so again, I want to make sure we're on the same page. You were charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. I am releasing you here today. Because I'm releasing you here today, sir, you will have a piece of paper that the deputies are going to have you sign. So you don't have to worry about waiving that hearing date because you're not going to have it because you're going to be out, okay?
okay, okay.
Now, do you have any questions for me about anything we just talked about? I want to make sure you understand.
No, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, sir, Mr. Johnson. You have a good one.
Alrighty, you too.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You go, sir. Mr. Franco, was he supposed to sign on job because it wasn't allowing him to?
No, he was. I see him on here, but when we didn't get, I was going to ask you all about him at the end there.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had him listed on there as well.
Right. So
Is he there? Do you have him?
he already went back, sir. I was trying to hold him, but they sent him back already. I didn't know.
Okay. I mean, you should be able to do it, I guess, at a later time, but I'm showing he's on mine.
I will try to get him back and see where it come up.
Okay.
All right. Come on. Yeah.
Last one, 108, 150 elevator.
All right, sir. And what is your last name, sir?
McCary, McCary.
All right, so Mr. McCary, I got you right here. So Mr. McCary, here in your allegations, you are charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. And you are charged with 1 count of obstruction of an officer. Now, these are both misdemeanors. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, because these are both misdemeanors, we're going to talk about a couple things. First, you have a right to a preliminary hearing or you have a right to waive that hearing. Would you like to have that hearing, sir, or waive it?
I would like to,
Hey,
I don't know. I really want to kind of waive it or have it. I don't know.
Okay, so what I'm going to do this morning, just to protect you, sir, I'm going to go ahead and set that preliminary hearing date for you. It's going to be April 23rd at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. So if you don't get out, you're going to have a hearing with you, the judge, and the police officer that are going to be present to go over the charges against you, okay?
Can I ask you a question? Like,
Yes, sir.
What's my bond?
I'm going to get to that. I hadn't gotten there yet. Again, your next court date, if you don't get your bond, is going to be April 23rd, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Are you working right now?
Yes, sir. And then
How much are you making per month?
maybe like 2,000.
Do you have any kids?
One.
All right. Do you take care of those children alone or with someone else?
Or with somebody. But
How much is rent per month, or do you have a mortgage?
well, actually, I was paying like I'm paying 500. I was staying at a hotel. I'm paying $500 a week.
Okay. So based on that, sir, I am going to go ahead. I'm going to appoint you a lawyer free of charge to help you on your case if you need it. Okay.
All right. Can I ask you another question?
Hold on. You got to let me get through it first.
Yes, sir.
Your bond amount. Criminal trespass is 1,000. Obstruction is 1,000. You're going to have to stay away from the address of 5060 Frontage Road. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, again, you're charged with misdemeanors. Your bond is 2,000. You stay away from 5060 Frontage Road. And I have given you a lawyer free of charge. What questions can I answer for you, sir?
I was saying because I don't have nobody to pay my bond. I was trying to see if I could probably get a signature bond and stuff.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You do not qualify.
All right.
Any other questions, Mr. McCary?
No, sir.
All right. Good luck to you, sir.
Come around and turn.
Next up should be Mr. Mercer. All right, are you Mr. Mercer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mercer, here you are charged with 1 count of a seatbelt violation, 1 count of felony drugs, and 1 count of a possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. Because you are charged with felony, sir, if you don't make your bond that I'm going to give you in a second, your next court date is going to be April 22nd, 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, as far as your bond amount, your seatbelt violation is a bond of $250. The felony drugs is a bond amount of $3,500, and the possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime carries a bond amount of $10,000. So your total bond, sir, is $13,750. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so I understand you're working, you're making about $2,000 a month.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you own a home or are you renting a home?
Rent.
How much is rent per month?
400
Okay. Do you take care of that child alone or with someone else?
with someone.
Yeah.
How many children do you have?
2.
All right, sir. I understand you want your own lawyer, but right now I'm going to appoint you a lawyer free of charge. If you end up getting your own, just let them know and they'll make sure that they remove the lawyer that I put on your case, okay?
Question.
Yes, sir.
Oh, now I pay 15% to the jail or what?
If you want to use a bonding company. So if you use a bonding company, yes, sir, the bonding company would pay your bond. So you pay 15% to the bonding company. So in your case, your bond would be about $1,500 if you want to use a bonding company.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right, so Mr. Mercer, we've gone over everything. $13,750 is your bond. I did appoint you a lawyer in case you need one moving forward. I know you said you want to hire one. Your court date is going to be April 22nd if you don't bond out. If you do, just make sure you give them your your address where you're staying, okay?
Can you get my charges again, young?
You are charged with seatbelt violation, felony drugs, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. Okay?
All right.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, next up should be Mr. Musa. All right, are you Mr. Musa?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Musa, you are charged with 1 count of felony drugs, 1 count of possession of intent to distribute, another count of felony drugs, and then a final 3rd count of felony drugs, and then tinted window violation. The first felony drugs, felony drugs MDMA carries a bond of $3,500. The possession with the intent to distribute carries a bond of $10,000. The possession of marijuana over an ounce carries a bond of $10,000. And then the last felony drugs carries a bond of $3,500. And the tinted window violation carries a bond of $500. So, sir, your total bond is $27,500. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Are you currently working, sir?
No.
All right, so based on that, sir, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. So you'll have a lawyer free of charge to help you on your case, okay? Do you understand, Mr. Musa? So last thing, Mr. Musa, because you are charged with felony, if you don't make your bond, I need you to know your next court date is going to be April 22nd. And that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand? April 22nd, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom, okay?
Okay.
All right, good luck to you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do I qualify for the signature bond?
No, you do not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, you do not.
And it's 15% of the 27,000.
If you use a bonding company, yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
So you'd be looking at about $3,000, $3,200.
Okay. Thank you.
Next up should be Mr. Newsome. Are you Mr. Newsome?
Sir, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, sir. You're charged with 1 count of misdemeanor criminal trespass and 1 count of misdemeanor battery family violence, sir. Your bond amount for the trespass is $1,500. Your bond amount for the battery family violence is $3,500. So your total bond, sir, is $5,000. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You do have special conditions. You're gonna have to stay away from Miss Erin Thomas and from the address of 7878 North Main Street, apartment B4AA. Do you understand that? Are you currently working, sir?
Yes, no, sir, but.
Okay, you put on here you're making about 2,500.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm still had a job when I get out.
Okay. So right now, then I'm gonna put that you're gonna have to hire your own lawyer. If that changes and you have lost that job, please just let them know, and they will go ahead and get you a new lawyer. Okay, or get you a lawyer free of charge. Okay. Let me ask you this: because you are charged with misdemeanors, you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you have a right to waive that hearing. Which would you like to do? Have the hearing or waive the hearing?
Waive.
Okay. I am going to show here, sir, that you are waiving your right to the hearing. And so based on that, sir, the deputies are going to have a piece of paper for you to sign. And once you sign that piece of paper, sir, I believe that's all I have for you this morning, unless you have any questions for me. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, sir, no, sir.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Next person.
Yeah.
It's wait for him. You gotta wait.
All right, what's your last name, sir? Smith. All right, so I've got you right here, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, you are charged with 1 count of loitering or prowling. Sir, based on the information I have gone ahead and dismissed that charge against you this morning. Now, let me be clear, Mr. Smith, I am dismissing the charge.
Yes,
It
sir.
doesn't mean that it can't ever come back, but
Yes,
as of today, I am dismissing that charge against you. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
All right, sir. Well, that is all I have for you this morning. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next.
Be Stubbs, I believe.
Yeah.
Are you Mr. Stubbs?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Stubbs, you are charged with 1 count of possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana. Your bond amount here, sir, is $1,000. Are you working right now, sir?
No, sir.
All right, so based on that, sir, I am gonna go ahead, I'm gonna appoint you a court-appointed lawyer this morning. Do you understand? Now, as far as your preliminary hearing, sir, do you want to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
I have it.
All right, sir, so I'm gonna set that hearing date for you. So if you don't make your bond, sir, your next court date is going to be April 23rd at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, if you don't make your bond, your next court date is going to be April 23rd, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Your bond amount is $1,000. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I've got Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Taylor, you are charged with a couple of counts of terroristic threats here.
Hey, Phillips.
Okay, you're charged with a couple counts of terroristic threats, and then you're also charged with 1 count of disorderly conduct. Do you understand that? Now, the terroristic threats, sir, are misdemeanors, and the disorderly conduct is also a misdemeanor. And so your bond amount for the threats are $5,000 apiece, and the disorderly conduct $1,500. So your total bond is $11,500. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, you do have special conditions, sir, and that is to stay away from Fabian Arredondo and to also stay away from the address of 5724 BCA 5 on Riverdale Road. I believe that's an apartment. Do you understand? Sorry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, because you are charged with misdemeanor, sir, you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you have a right to waive that hearing. Which would you like to do? Would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
I'll waive it.
All right, sir. So I am going to show you a waiving your hearing. I am going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer here this morning based on the information that you gave me. So again, you're charged with misdemeanors. Your bond amount, I've given you that. But again, it's 11-5. You have to stay away from Mr. Arredondo, as well as the address where this happened. You've waived your right to a preliminary hearing. And so based on that, sir, you will have a document there to sign by the deputies. And once you sign that document, sir, that's all I've got for you.
So if I go through a bond hearing, how much will it be? If
A
I go through a
bonding
bonding
company?
company?
You're looking at about $1,750.
You waiving your speed limit? All right.
He waived his prelim.
Yes, sir. And then you gotta find jobs also.
that trash with you.
You gonna go to him. Next person. Franco.
All right, give me 1 second here, sir.
All right, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you this morning?
All right.
Okay. And are you Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Thomas, you were charged with 1 count of by shoplifting, sir. This is a misdemeanor. Your bond amount is $3,500. Do you understand that?
I thought it was, they told me it was 1,800.
Excuse me, I apologize. Not 3,500. I meant to say 1,500. Excuse me. Okay. 1,500.
Okay, 1,500.
Yes, sir. I didn't mean to say that. I was looking at that incorrectly, but it's 1,500. Do you understand?
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Now, you do have to stay away from the address where this was alleged to have happened. It was alleged to have happened at 6331 Sarah Boulevard. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. Now, because you are charged with misdemeanor, sir, that means that you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you can waive that right, and I can send your case on up to the prosecutor directly and move it a lot faster. Would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
I waive the hearing.
Okay, so I am going to show, sir, that you are waiving your right to the hearing. And so the deputies are going to have a piece of paper there for you to sign. Again, you are charged with 1 count of theft, 1,500. It's a misdemeanor. I'm going to appoint you a lawyer. You are waiving your right to the hearing. Once you sign that piece of paper, sir, unless you got questions for me, you're free to go.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ulmer.
Yes, sir.
All right, are you Mr. Ulmer?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you? Mr. Ulmer, you are charged with several matters here that we're going to go through here shortly together, okay?
All right.
Now, beginning from the top, sir, as I noted, you are charged with felonies. The first is 1 count of stalking. The second is 1 count of terroristic threat. The next charge is 1 count of simple assault, family violence. And the last charge is 1 count of criminal trespass, family violence. Stalking carries a bond amount of $10,000. The terroristic threat carries a bond amount of $10,000. The simple assault carries a bond amount of $2,500 for a total bond of $25,000. Do you understand?
Okay.
Now, you do have special conditions, sir, and that's to stay away from Shakinia Williams and also the address of 2070 Lake Harbin Road. Do you understand? Now, if that's your address and you were living there prior to this happening, as I said earlier, you will have to get with the sheriff's office within 10 days of your release in order to get any items that belong to you, okay?
Okay.
Now, lastly, sir, because you were charged with felonies, unless you make your bond, your next court date is going to be April 22nd at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Now, I've looked at your information here. One last thing. Because of the information you provided to me, sir, you do not qualify for a court-appointed lawyer. So if you would like a lawyer's assistance on your case, you will have to hire your own. Do you understand that?
Okay.
All right, sir. If you don't have any questions of me, that's all I have for you. Good luck to you.
Can you repeat my bond amount?
Write it down.
It's $25,000.
You want to, right?
Yes.
100.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, have a good day.
You too. I believe next we have Mr. Vance. Are you Mr. Vance?
Yes.
All right, so Mr. Vance, you are charged with 1 count of disorderly conduct. Your bond amount is $1,500, sir. You do have a special condition, and that's to stay away from the Hartsville Airport unless you are there for work or for travel. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, I am going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer this morning. Do you understand that, free of charge?
Okay, thank you.
Lastly, sir, because you are charged with a misdemeanor, you have a right to a preliminary hearing. or I can waive that hearing. What would you like me to do? Would you like to have that hearing or waive it?
I like to waive it. Wish we could just settle this court.
Well, unfortunately, I can't do that today, but I will show you waiving your hearing, sir. And so because of that, sir, the deputies will have a piece of paper for you to sign showing a waive. Once you sign that piece of paper, that's all I've got for you here today, sir.
Is there any possible way for because I have my funds on.
No, sir, there will be no signature bond.
Yeah.
I'm
Talk to the jail when we go back.
I can get it from the jail.
We have to talk to the COs in the jail when we go back.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And your name, sir?
Wilson, Zachary.
I'm sorry?
Zachary Wilson.
Okay. So, give me 1 second here, Mr. Wilson. All right, so Mr. Wilson, you are charged with 1 count of possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, 1 count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. You are charged with then 2 counts of felony drugs and 1 count of possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce. The possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime carries a bond of $10,000. The convicted felon charge carries a bond of $10,000. The felony drugs carry a bond of $3,500. And the misdemeanor drugs carries a bond amount of $1,000. So your total bond, sir, is $28,000. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, sir, based on the information you provided to me, sir, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. So you will have a lawyer free of charge. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, your next court date, should you not make your bond, is going to be April 22nd, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's April 22nd, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Do you understand that?
22nd via Zoom.
Yes, sir.
In the morning.
All right, sir, that's all I have. So unless you have questions for me, that's it.
Sir, thank you. Sir, I know I'm gonna be here about what am I signing that?
Are you Mr. Williams?
Yes.
All right. So, Mr. Williams, you are charged here with 1 count of battery family violence, sir. Your bond amount is $3,500. You do have special conditions, and that's to stay away from a Jennifer Otero, as well as from the address of 6584 Chasen Woods Court. And so if, sir, you were living there before, as I said before, you will have to get with the deputies in order to, once you're released, in order to get any items that may belong to you. Do you understand?
Yeah, what if she doesn't live there?
That will be for your lawyer. You want to speak with him about that? Okay. Question I have for you, sir. You are you working right now?
Am I? No.
Okay. So based on that, sir, I am going to go ahead.
I don't want to.
Well, sir, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you a lawyer, and if you end up not needing the lawyer, you can always.
I'll just represent myself.
Okay, you can always let that lawyer know that later on. But for as of today, I'm going to go ahead and appoint it. Okay.
Not one.
Do you understand, sir?
Sir, just, you can cancel it anytime. Wait till you get it for it. Right now, that's what he's gonna do, okay?
You got to do it for right now. Now, last question I have for you, sir. You have a right to that preliminary hearing because you're charged with misdemeanors. Would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
I would like to have it.
Okay. So if you don't make your bond, your next court date is going to be April 23rd. That's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, if you don't make your bond, your next court date is April 23rd at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. If you do make your bond, sir, please make sure that when you are released, whatever your new address is going to be, please make sure that that address is left with the sheriff's office so they know where to send your new court date. Do you understand? Do you understand, sir?
You gotta say yes or no.
All right, sir. All right, sir. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Those are the last two, and Your Honor, for Bruce Thomas and Dwayne Franco, we still can't, they still not allowed to sign right now.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering, that may be me. Give me 1 second here. So Bruce Thomas, I had as a waiver Okay.
Go ahead.
Is that what, are you showing he was a waiver?
He's on jobs.
Yeah, I'm looking, give me 1 second. I'm looking at Mr. Thomas. It may be because of me. Give me 1 second for Mr. Thomas, and then we can pull both of them and let them sign. So, Mr. Thomas, misdemeanor CAA waived. All right, so he waived. Order for bonds, CAA. All right. So Mr. Thomas should be good to go now.
And then Mr. Franco.
It's too late to add first thing if you want.
And then Mr. Franco, let's see. Okay, let's see. 423. Misdemeanor.
I was first training. It really was. This one turned out really. Not very was.
All right, Franco should be good to go as well.
Okay, sir.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.